Welcome back, my friend. Tonight, London passes through the uncertain reigns of Edward VI and Mary I before finding new strength beneath Elizabeth. Faith changes again, old wounds reopen, and a golden age slowly rises from the turbulence. Let us follow the final Tudor heirs into the twilight of a dynasty. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let history carry you toward sleep. Subscribe to Deep Sleep Storytelling for more peaceful journeys through history, science, and the mysteries of the sea.
The Boy King and the Unfinished Reformation. Settle deeper into your blankets, my friend. Slow down your breath. Let the day drift away like a quiet boat moving downstream. Tonight we follow London into the reign of a young boy. A king too young to shave, yet old enough to sit on the throne of England. A child surrounded by ambitious men, bold ideas, and a religious movement that refuses to slow down. The silence of the monasteries has not yet faded, and already new voices rise to fill it. London is about to change again. A kingdom in the hands of a child. When Henry VIII dies in 1547, crowds gather along the streets to watch the funeral procession. The bells toll slowly. The river mirrors the gray sky. Londoners stand with mixed feelings. The great king is gone, but his legacy is heavy, complicated, full of unfinished storms. Then news spreads. The next king is not a warrior, not a reformer, not a man of powerful presence. The next king is 9 years old, Edward VI. London whispers the name with curiosity and uncertainty. Some smile at the thought of a gentle child replacing a thunderous father. Some worry about what it means for the kingdom. A few joke that at least the new king will not marry 6 times, which is a comforting improvement. But the truth is simple. Edward may be king, but he is not in control. Others will rule in his name. The Lord Protector and his plans. Edward's uncle, Edward Seymour, becomes Lord Protector. A tall, confident, ambitious man who sees the boy king as a chance to push the Reformation further and faster than ever before. Under his leadership, London begins another round of religious upheaval. Latin prayers are replaced with English, altars are stripped, images of saints are removed, church walls are scraped bare. The Mass is replaced with new services. Old festivals are canceled or transformed. Ancient processions vanish from the streets. London wakes each day wondering what tradition will disappear next. Confusion in the parishes. In parish churches across the city, priests read new instructions with puzzled expressions. What exactly is allowed now? What is forbidden? What should be said? What should be removed? Who decides? And will these rules change again next week? Many Londoners try to follow along, but the pace is dizzying. One day the priest chants in Latin, the next he reads in English. 1 month the church displays candles and images, the next they vanish. A favorite shrine people visited for generations is suddenly closed. A familiar feast day is declared superstitious. It feels as if the city's spiritual map has been redrawn again and again with frantic strokes of chalk. The shrines fall. During Henry's reign, the great shrines had already been dismantled, but under Edward, the smaller ones are destroyed too. London watches quietly as beloved statues are taken down, as offerings are removed, as relics are carried away in boxes, as parish churches look more plain, more empty. Children ask why the saint is gone. Parents struggle to answer. Some simply say, "Times are changing." Others whisper that the soul of the city is fading piece by piece. The poor suffer. The monasteries, for all their flaws, once fed the hungry, sheltered the homeless, and cared for the sick. With them gone, the number of beggars and wandering poor increases sharply. Londoners notice it every time they walk to the market or cross a bridge. More hands reaching out, more hollow eyes, more thin figures sleeping beneath arches. The government tries to create new systems, new laws, new institutions, but the change is too fast and the need too great. The sudden emptiness left by the monks becomes one of London's deepest wounds. Riots and rumors. The reforms come so quickly that people across the country begin to rebel. News reaches London that villages in the West have risen in protest over the new prayer book. In the East, peasants revolt against greedy landowners. Rumors swirl about. Armies marching, rebels gathering, and the possibility of war. Inside the city, people grow tense, not panicked, but uneasy. The kind of unease that keeps candles burning later into the night and makes horses startle at small sounds. The government crushes the rebellions with violence. London learns that change, even religious change, will be enforced with steel if necessary. The mood grows heavier. The Lord Protector falls. Power, like the tides of the Thames, rises and falls quickly. Edward Seymour, once the most powerful man in England, makes too many enemies. Other noblemen accuse him of mismanagement. The council turns against him. He is arrested. He is executed. London hears the news with a mix of shock and resignation. Another leader has fallen. Another shift has begun. Another uncertain chapter opens. Some Londoners remark quietly that the king is too young for such storms. Others say storms always circle the palace, no matter who sits on the throne. A new council, a new direction. Now the kingdom is guided by a new set of advisors, led by the Duke of Northumberland. They continue the Reformation with determination. More churches are transformed. More old practices disappear. More sermons emphasize the new doctrine. More wealth is redistributed to the crown and nobles. London feels like a ship caught in a strong current, unable to turn back even if it wanted to. Every week brings a new change. Every month a new rule. Every year, a city that looks less like the one people remember. Edward's fragile health. For a time, the boy king seems full of promise, bright and scholarly, deeply devoted to the new faith. But London soon hears whispers that he is ill, pale, thin, weaker each season. Doctors offer medicines. Courtiers offer prayers. Londoners hope quietly that youth will overcome sickness. But as months pass, the whispers strengthen. The child king is fading, and with him, the future of the Reformation becomes a question no one dares answer aloud. A city, holding its breath. Again. By 1553, London feels the same uneasy stillness it felt when Henry VIII broke with Rome. Not fear, not disaster, just a quiet sense that something enormous is approaching. People go about their days, baking bread, repairing boats, selling cloth, teaching children, running shops. But beneath the ordinary hum of daily life, every heart listens to the same uncertain rhythm. What happens when the boy king dies? What direction will the kingdom take? Will the changes continue, reverse, or explode? London waits, calm on the surface, storms gathering just beyond sight. Ending the chapter, let your breath fall softly now. Picture London at dusk, the river dark and shimmering, the bells ringing gently across the rooftops. A city guided by a child, a faith rewritten, a people torn between old and new, and a future as fragile and bright as the boy king himself. The next chapter will turn sharply, but for now, rest in the quiet, in the space between changes. Mary's Flame, a city in reverse. Settle in, my friend. Let the day slip out of your shoulders. Breathe deeply and softly, the way the Thames breathes under a gentle night breeze. Tonight we step into a chapter where London finds itself pulled sharply backward, almost as if time itself had turned around. A new queen rises, an old faith returns, and a city that has spent years learning new prayers must suddenly remember the ones it once forgot. This is the dawn of Mary Tudor, a short reign, but one that leaves the deepest imprint on the century. A death that changes everything. When Edward VI dies in July 1553, London is stunned. He is only 15. The bells toll long, sorrowful notes across the river. People whisper prayers. People stand in doorways, wondering what happens next. The council attempts to place Lady Jane Grey on the throne, a quiet girl, educated, pious, never seeking power. London watches this strange moment unfold with confusion. A new queen crowned without ceremony, trembling beneath the weight of a crown she never asked for. But this fragile arrangement lasts only 9 days, because Mary, daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, begins to march toward London. And the people, remembering her mother with deep affection, support her with an energy that surprises even themselves. Crowds swell behind her like a rising tide. London opens its gates, and Lady Jane Grey, poor child, steps aside, her fate sealed by forces far beyond her control. Mary enters the city as the rightful queen, and London exhales for the first time in months. The return of the old faith. Mary makes her intentions clear from the beginning. She will restore the faith of her mother. She will restore the authority of Rome. She will restore the rituals, the images, the prayers, the Latin, the altars, the festivals, and the familiar rhythms that shaped London for centuries. For older Londoners, it is like hearing a childhood lullaby return after many years. They smile softly, almost relieved. Shrines light candles again. Processions return to the streets. Priests don their old vestments. Church bells ring fuller, richer, warmer. But for younger Londoners who grew up entirely in the new faith, the changes feel strange, confusing, like someone rearranged the furniture of their soul. One generation feels comfort. One generation feels displacement. The city becomes a patchwork of emotions. Parliament reverses the clock. Mary moves with decisiveness. Parliament repeals the Protestant laws. Priests who married during the Reformation are removed or stepped down. Latin Mass returns in grand ceremony. Churches once stripped bare begin to glow again with candles, paintings, and carved saints. London watches its parishes transform almost overnight. Altars rebuilt, stonework repaired, the old liturgical calendar revived. It is as if London has been handed its past in a beautiful but heavy package. A marriage that divides the city. When Mary announces her intention to marry Philip of Spain, London tenses. Some fear the city will fall under Spanish influence. Others worry about foreign soldiers, foreign customs, foreign power. Rumors swirl like autumn leaves in every tavern and marketplace. Mary sees the marriage as a way to secure a Catholic future for England. Many Londoners see something larger and darker in its shadow. But the marriage happens. Philip arrives, handsome but reserved, stepping ashore with Spanish pomp that dazzles and unsettles the city. The wedding ceremony at Winchester Cathedral is grand and solemn. London celebrates, but with caution. The cheers are real. The anxieties are real. Both feelings walk side by side along the narrow streets. The fires begin. Soon after, Mary begins enforcing laws against heresy. It starts slowly. A few trials, a few arrests, a few executions. London feels a chill as the first flames rise. The burnings take place at Smithfield, a large open area long used for public punishments. Crowds gather, though many watch with heavy hearts. No one sleeps easily on nights when smoke hangs over the city. It becomes one of the darkest stains on Mary's reign, not because the fires were unusual for the age, not because other rulers did not use the same punishment, but because London had grown used to a different rhythm, a gentler atmosphere. The sudden return of fear feels like a harsh wind blowing through the city's spirit. Ordinary people caught between worlds. Families argue quietly behind closed shutters. Friends avoid discussing religion in public. Taverns hum with tense conversations. Priests walk carefully, aware that any misstep could carry consequences. Teachers in parish schools wonder how to explain the shifting doctrines to children still learning their first prayers. Some Londoners rejoice in the return of Catholicism. Some resist it in secret. Most simply try to stay safe. It is a city balancing on the edge of loyalty and survival. Empty hope, heavy sorrow. Mary hopes for an heir. London hopes with her. They pray, light candles, and wait. But the longed-for child never comes. Her phantom pregnancies weigh heavily on her, and the city feels her sorrow echo through court and church alike. People whisper prayers, not just for the Queen, but for stability, for continuity, for a future that feels increasingly uncertain. In the final years of her reign, London becomes quieter, more cautious, more aware that the winds of change may soon shift again. The last days of Mary. When Mary falls ill in 1558, the city senses the end approaching. Churches hold vigils, taverns speak in hushed tones, merchants pause their work to share bits of news. Mary dies in November. Her reign ends with a mix of sorrow, sympathy, and a complicated legacy. London mourns her, but also feels something else rising through the grief. A sense that the pendulum of history is about to swing once more. And this time, it will swing in a direction neither Mary nor her advisors could have imagined. Ending the chapter. Breathe softly now. Picture London at dusk, the bells echoing through the smoky air, prayers drifting upward in Latin, and candles trembling in church windows. A queen who tried to heal the fracture of her childhood. A city pulled backward and forward at once. A people caught between devotion and fear. Mary's chapter is heavy, yes, but it is also full of human longing, human confusion, and human hope. Rest with that thought a moment. Elizabeth's Dawn. A city finds its balance. Let your breath soften, my friend. Tonight we step into a new light, pale gold and full of possibility, rising gently over the rooftops of London. The fires of Mary's reign have faded. The smoke has thinned. The city is tired, shaken, cautious. And then on a cold morning in November 1558, news spreads through the streets like a sudden warm breeze. Mary is gone. Her half-sister Elizabeth is queen. London stops. London listens. London inhales. Something in the air shifts. A sense that the long storm is breaking. a quiet coronation with loud hope. Elizabeth is only 25, bright, careful, intelligent, unmarried, and very aware of the fragile ground beneath her feet. But her arrival in London sparks a mood the city has not felt in decades. People step out of their doorways. Shops hang banners. Children climb onto crates to see the procession. Elderly men nod knowingly and whisper that perhaps things will settle now. Elizabeth's coronation in January 1559 is radiant, but what London remembers most is the warmth she shows the crowds. She smiles. She greets people. She holds out her hands. After years of fear and uncertainty, London feels as if someone has finally opened a window to let the stale air escape. A middle path. The new queen understands England's wounds. She knows the city is divided, bruised, and exhausted from the back and forth of religious policy. So she chooses a middle path, a settlement. Not too extreme, not too strict, clear enough to unify the nation, flexible enough to allow people to breathe. Latin is gone. English services return. Most altars remain simple, but violent persecution stops. Moderate practices are tolerated. A sense of calm replaces the turbulence. Londoners exhale, church bells ring with a gentler tone. People return to services without fear. Priests preach with steadier voices. The city finds its balance. The Queen of Images, Elizabeth does something clever. She turns herself into a symbol. Paintings of her appear everywhere. Not as a woman, but as an ideal. The Virgin Queen, the mother of the nation. The tall, calm figure draped in pearls and power. Londoners begin to speak of her almost as though she is part queen, part myth. She becomes the shining thread that ties the kingdom together. And London, loyal and proud, wraps itself around her like a warm cloak. A city opens its doors to the world. With the new reign comes stability. And with stability comes growth. Merchants return to their ships with confidence. Foreign traders arrive at the docks. New goods flood the markets, silks from Italy, spices from the Levant, iron and timber from the Baltic, glassware from Venice, exotic fruits carrying scents Londoners cannot name. The city begins to hum with the music of commerce. Coin clinks on wooden tables. Ships creak. Carts rattle. Vendors call out in accents from half the world. London becomes a crossroads of cultures, ideas, and ambitions. The birth of the Playhouses. One of the most magical changes happens quietly at first. Actors begin performing in inns. Crowds gather, coins are tossed. Stories unfold in open courtyards. Then, in the 1570s, the first permanent playhouses rise on the city's outskirts. The theater, the curtain, later the rose, and eventually the globe. Londoners of all classes flock to see performances that stir their souls, laughing at comedies, weeping at tragedies, standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers as stories sweep them into other worlds. By candlelight and sunlight, a new art form is born. A gift that will one day make London famous across centuries. And somewhere among the crowds, a young writer named William Shakespeare begins to watch, listen, and dream. Danger beneath the surface, but do not imagine the era is peaceful in every corner. Plots simmer in the shadows. Foreign powers eye England with hostility. Religious tensions still flicker. Spies move quietly through the city, carrying secrets in their sleeves. In 1563, plague returns, reminding London that the darkness never sleeps for long. The bells toll, people flee, markets close. The Thames carries boats full of fear. But the city endures as always. Elizabeth rides through London during outbreaks, comforting her people, showing them she will not abandon them. Her resolve strengthens the city, and the city strengthens her. The Spanish threat. By the 1580s, another storm builds. Distant at first, then louder, then impossible to ignore. Philip of Spain, once Mary's husband, now sees Elizabeth as a threat. England as a rebel, London as a target. The Armada sets sail. Panic ripples through the city. Shops close early. People pray. Soldiers drill on muddy fields outside the walls. But when news arrives that the English fleet has triumphed, London erupts with celebration. Bells ring for hours. Candles glow in every window. Children cheer in the streets. For the first time in a long while, the city feels powerful, protected, united, fearless. A flowering of minds. Under Elizabeth, learning blooms, printing presses whirl, schools thrive, explorers return with strange stories, scientists study the stars, poets fill their pages with dreams. London feels smarter, brighter, more curious. People read more, debate more, invent more. The city seems to hum with thought. Even at night, one can imagine thousands of candles flickering behind windows as people write letters, copy texts, or draw maps of lands they will never see. The Queen ages, the city grows still. By the late 1590s, Elizabeth is old. Her hair is red, gold, and silver all at once. Her dresses are heavy with jewels. Her smile is the same but slower. Her voice soft but steady. London knows she cannot live forever, but the thought is too heavy to hold. She's become the heartbeat of the city, a symbol of continuity, identity, pride. Her long reign has given London the greatest of gifts. Time. Time to grow, time to recover, time to discover who it truly is. Ending the chapter. Let your breath fall slowly now. Picture the Thames at twilight, reflecting candlelight from 1,000 windows. Hear the distant laughter of a theater crowd. Imagine the Queen's banners fluttering gently in the late summer wind. Elizabeth's London is not perfect, but it is alive, bright, strong, growing. A city that has found its balance After decades of chaos, a city stepping boldly into a new golden age. Rest with that image for a moment. The long twilight of a golden reign. Let your breath soften, my friend. Tonight we drift into the late years of Elizabeth's reign, a time when London glows with confidence, yet carries quiet shadows around the edges. A time when the Queen is no longer the bright young woman who charmed crowds with a smile and a wave, but an aging monarch, wrapped in pearls, memories, and the weight of a long-lived crown. The century is ending, the light is changing. London stands on the edge of a new age, steady yet uncertain, luminous yet subdued. Come, let us walk gently through this twilight. The Queen who would not fade. In the 1590s, Elizabeth is in her 60s. Her portraits show her as radiant, youthful, almost mythic. But Londoners who glimpse her closely see the truth. Her steps are slower, her face is lined, her eyes still sharp, but softer around the edges. She refuses to marry, refuses to name an heir, refuses to step aside. Her body ages, but her will does not. When she speaks in public, people still lean in, still listen, still cheer, but there is a slight tremble beneath the surface, as if the entire kingdom is holding its breath, hoping she will remain strong just a little longer. London loves her, but London fears the void her absence would create. Theaters at their peak. London's playhouses are now the heartbeat of the city's imagination. Crowds still gather at the Curtain, the Rose, and the Globe, even as Elizabeth grows older. It is an age of words. Shakespeare writes of kings, lovers, fools, and ghosts. Marlowe brings fire and danger to the stage. Ben Jonson sharpens his pen with wit and mischief. On warm evenings, the Thames carries the sound of applause from the South Bank to the north like a shimmering echo. Sometimes, the Queen sends messengers to commission performances for court. Sometimes actors dream that Elizabeth herself might attend a show in secret. Whether she does or not, her presence fills the theaters all the same. London has become a city that thinks in poetry. Poverty returns in new forms. But golden ages are rarely golden everywhere. Despite trade, theater, and prosperity for some, London's population continues to grow, pressing at the city's limits like a river against its banks. Tenements rise too quickly and too closely. Waste flows through narrow lanes. The poor crowd into damp rooms. Children beg in the alleys. The smell of sickness hangs over certain districts like a lingering fog. The government tries to regulate food prices, tries to punish landlords who overcharge, tries to create systems for the unemployed. But the city keeps expanding, faster than any plan can contain. London is brilliant. London is booming, but London is uneven. A tapestry of wealth and struggle woven together in one restless pattern. Shadows of plot and intrigue. Even in her later years, Elizabeth faces conspiracies. Plots rise and fall, whispered in foreign courts and secret chambers. Some want to replace her with Mary, Queen of Scots, until Mary's execution ends that threat with grim finality. Others hope to destabilize England through spies, propaganda, or foreign alliances. London hums with quiet suspicion. Taverns hold secret conversations. Courtiers send coded letters. Messengers slip through the city at night. The Queen's spy master, Sir Francis Walsingham, tracks every whisper, every rumor, every suspicious glance. Many Londoners sleep uneasily during these years, sensing danger even when they cannot see it. But the city remains standing, alert and resilient, sheltered beneath the Queen's vigilance. Hard winters and empty granaries. In the late 1590s, a series of poor harvests hits the kingdom. Food prices soar. Bread becomes expensive. Families ration what little they have. London feels the strain. Markets grow tense. Merchants fear riots. The city government struggles to keep order. People gather around church doors hoping for alms. Mothers water down stews to make them last longer. Fires burn low to save fuel. Theaters continue to flourish, but hunger lurks behind the applause. Even Elizabeth feels the weight of scarcity. Her advisors plead for her to ease certain policies. She listens but holds her ground, determined to keep stability. London tightens its belt and endures. A new generation rises. As the century turns, the generation born during Henry VIII's reign is gone or elderly. Mary's generation is fading. Even those who were young when Elizabeth first took the throne are now middle-aged. A new generation walks the streets, one raised entirely in the Protestant faith. One that has never heard a Latin Mass. One that sees the Queen less as a symbol of restoration and more as a steady fixture that has always been there. They admire her but do not remember her struggles. They love her but treat her almost like a storybook figure. For them, London is not a place of recovery. It is a place of opportunity. Theaters, markets, docks, universities, guild halls, and ships all call to them. They dream bigger dreams than any generation before them, and London grows to match those dreams. The Queen alone. In her final years, Elizabeth becomes more solitary. Her closest advisors die. Friends fade from her life. The court grows quieter. She walks in her gardens, dressed in shimmering gowns, the weight of jewels pressing into her shoulders. Courtiers say, she speaks to the flowers when no one is near. She knows her reign is ending. She feels it in her bones. But she will not surrender to time easily. She attends councils even when ill. She insists on hearing reports in person. She gives speeches when her voice is weak. London watches her with admiration and sorrow. She is still their queen, still their symbol, still their light. But the light flickers. The death of Elizabeth. In March 1603, London receives the news it never wanted. Elizabeth has died at Richmond Palace. She is 70 years old, having ruled for 44 years. The city falls into a heavy quiet. Shops close. church bells toll slow, mournful notes that seem to vibrate through the stone of every building. People gather in the streets not to riot or celebrate, but simply because they cannot bear to be alone in this moment. London has lost its mother, its guide, its symbol, its certainty. No other monarch will be loved quite the same way. A new dawn already rising. As London mourns, a new king prepares to travel from Scotland. James VI of Scotland, soon to be James I of England. The Tudors are gone. A new dynasty begins. But London does not yet think of the future. It thinks of the woman who led it through storms and silence, terror and triumph, poverty and poetry. Elizabeth leaves behind a city transformed, a city strong, a city alive. And though the century closes, her imprint remains like a warm glow on the river at dusk. Ending the chapter, let the image linger for a moment. A queen fading, a city rising, a world turning softly toward a new age. London stands still in the twilight between eras, its memories heavy, its hopes bright, its path already unfolding toward the unknown. Rest now, my friend. The next episode will open a new century, a new king, and a London on the edge of modernity.
Let the final light of the Tudor age settle gently over your thoughts. Oh, we have watched London pass from the fragile reign of Edward VI into the sorrow and uncertainty of Mary I, then rise again beneath the long, luminous rule of Elizabeth. Faith changed, old traditions returned and vanished, theaters opened, merchants crossed distant seas, and the city discovered new confidence in art, learning, and ambition. Oh, yet even golden ages carry shadows. Plague, poverty, hunger, conspiracy, and the passing of time remained close beside the celebration. Oh, now Elizabeth is gone, and the Tudor dynasty has faded into history. London stands quietly between two centuries, mourning the queen who became its symbol, while preparing for a new king and a new world. Let the Thames carry these memories into the darkness. Rest gently, my friend. The Tudor story has ended, but London's journey continues.